A soft wind blew through the open window of the bedroom, rustling the window shade. In his narrow bed over in the far corner, Glenn Cunningham lay with his face to the wall, sobbing with dread. His mother and father and the family doctor stood close by, and when his mother touched his shoulder, Glenn turned to face them, trying to hide his fear. "You mustn't let them do it," Glenn begged, choking back his tears. "My legs will get well again, Mother. I just know that they will. Please tell the doctor they can't take off my legs. I can't run if they do." "It'll be all right, Glenn," his mother said, trying to hide her sorrow. "The doctor has decided that he won't have to take your legs off, but you must have courage, son. You'll never be able to run again." A flash of hope lighted the boy's tearful eyes at the news that he would be able to keep his scarred and lifeless legs. "Oh, I will run again, Mother," Glenn burst out. "If you and Dad help me, I know I can do it." "Of course we'll help you," his father answered, swallowing hard to steady his shaky voice. "Your mother and I will do all that we can do for you. But you can't expect miracles to happen, and the doctor says there's no hope for your legs." "Never mind, son, what the doctor thinks," his mother said, blinking back her tears. "Maybe you can do it. Let's see if we can prove to Dad and the doctor that they're both wrong. Perhaps miracles do happen if you just help them along." Glenn grabbed his mother's hand and held it tightly against his hot face. In the days and weeks that followed, those loving hands of his mother's were always busy helping Glenn. She rubbed his legs until her hands were red. His father rubbed them too, and at night after his parents had gone to bed, Glenn rubbed them. And when he rubbed them, he could not even feel the touch of his own hands on his skin. It was almost as if the doctor had cut off his legs. They had no feeling in them. If only they would hurt me, Glenn thought. Feeling pain would be so much better than feeling nothing at all. The nights were hardest, for at night Glenn dreamed in his dreams. He lived again through the fire in the little country schoolhouse that had scarred his legs and killed his brother Floyd. He would find himself fighting his way through the thick black smoke, shouting for his brother, and many times he would awaken crying, "Floyd! Floyd!" The days, too, were long and tiresome, and day after day, with his father's strong arms about him, Glenn put his feet to the floor. Each time he hoped his scarred legs would be strong enough now to hold him, and each time when they were not, he would cry, "I will walk some day. You wait and see." One day Glenn stood up as usual. He let his feet hang down over the side of the bed. Suddenly he drew in a quick breath. His legs hurt. "Mother, Dad," he shouted excitedly, "come quick! My legs are hurting me. I can feel them. They hurt." His parents came rushing into the room, and Glenn lowered his trembling feet to the floor. His father steadied him until he was standing, and then he took his arms away. This time, when his father's arms were gone, Glenn was able to stand alone. Not for long, only for a minute, but he did stand alone, and Glenn and his parents cried for joy. Little by little during the weeks that followed, Glenn's shaky legs grew stronger. He could stand by himself a little bit longer each day, and he could even take a few stumbling steps. The pain was dreadful now. It seemed to get worse as his legs got better. Glenn was always thinking of how much he wanted to run. "If I could just run," he said to himself, "the pain wouldn't matter. I'd be trying so hard to run, I wouldn't even notice." One day, to his great joy, he took a few running steps. "It's true!" Glenn shouted as he hugged his mother happily. "I don't notice the pain when I run." And so Glenn began to run. At first he could only run across the room. Then he ran to school. In a short time he was running everywhere. And one day Glenn ran to the market on an errand for his mother, and in the store window he saw a large silver cup. "That cup will go to the winner of the mile race at the Elkhart Fair next week," the storekeeper remarked, smiling at Glenn. The rest of that day Glenn thought and thought about that silver cup. How wonderful it would be if he could win it. Glenn was proud of having learned to run again, and he wanted to prove to his parents that all their care had been worthwhile. "I'm going to try it," he said to himself. "It can't be as hard to learn to run faster as it was to learn to run all over again. The last time I said I can do it, I did it. Maybe I can do this too. It was a clear fall day for the Elkhart Fair. Glenn liked the crowds and the dust and the smell of the cattle. He liked the gay little stands with colored ribbons where the ladies were selling cakes and pies and candy. Judges were walking about with paper and pencils deciding who the prize winners could be. And people were hurrying to the grandstand. It was almost time for the races to begin. Glenn went with the rest of the runners to the starting place. They all ran up and down the track, warming up for the mile run. "On your mark!" called the starter. "Get set! Go!" And the runners dashed on the track as fast as their legs would carry them, while the crowd cheered them on. They passed the halfway mark. Suddenly Glenn moved ahead in a burst of speed. The boy just in front of him was slowing down. Glenn passed him. Steadily picking up speed as he ran, he passed another boy and then another. Glenn could hear the loud breathing of the other runners as he passed them by. Now the finish line flashed into sight. It was coming closer, closer, closer. Glenn threw back his head, lifted his arms, and shot across the finish line. The boy with the scarred legs, who had been told he would never run again, had won the race. The judge handed Glenn the silver cup. His friends and parents came running up to him. His mother's eyes were shining with tears, but this time they were tears of joy instead of tears of sorrow. "It's a miracle, Glenn," she cried, hugging him happily. "It's a miracle, a miracle." Glenn had never been so happy in his life. How he wished his brother Floyd had been there to see him run. Winning that mile race at the Elkhart Fair made Glenn want to run in more races. He began to train himself for running for hours every day. His legs became stronger than they had ever been before the fire. When he was in high school, he went to a track meet where he raced against boys from many other schools. And there he won the world's championship for running a mile faster than any high school boy had ever done before. A few years later, when he was in college, he won a race called the Big Six Championship Race. This made him champion college runner of the whole United States. Now Glenn decided to see if he could win the championship of the world. He entered races in many other countries. He did not always win, but every time he lost a race, he said, "I'll try harder next time, and next time I'll win." And at last the boy with the scarred legs ran the mile race faster than it had ever been run before. Glenn Cunningham became the champion miler of the world.